Hello. Oh. Hi, everybody. I'm a somewhat impromptu MC just to get things kicked off. Before we even start, huge thank you to Nicola. That was really cool. I found that really interesting. I hope everybody else did too. Well done. Okay, couple of things that have happened, and then a couple of announcements, and then we're on with the show. First of all, congratulations to everybody here who had some success in the New Zealand Landscape Salon. You will have seen your email by now if you had. Well, even if you haven't, you will have seen your email and you'll be angry at me. But so, well done to everybody who did. It remains a difficult salon to get accepted, and 14% were accepted in this year's salon. So the numbers are pretty tight. But on the other side of that, the pictures in it are really good. And the book that Anna is constructing at the moment is going to be spectacular. If you want to buy the book, I would recommend it. It's going to be $70, and one print run, one opportunity, but it will be something really good, really worth looking into and having a look at. So we'll get it back to you on that later on. It might be that we get a proof copy that we could perhaps bring along later. So keep a watch out for that. Okay, the first notice I want to talk about is John Suckling Walkabout Weekend. John, do you want to speak to that?
So no one made any suggestion to me. I hope that doesn't mean no one will come. But so I'm suggesting we meet at 9:30 on Sunday at Godley Head Car Park. Bring, if you've got a tripod, I'd recommend it. It would be handy. I've got one spare one that I can lend, some I'll bring and can lend you. If the weather's not kind to us, then we'll do it the following Sunday. All right? Any questions?
Godley Head will be cool. I was up there mountain biking the other day, and there's a pretty good chance if we'd gone that day, we would all been blown into Littleton Harbour, so hopefully it's not like that. Was it? Okay. Oh, well, we'll see how we go. Sunday morning at Godley Head then. Okay. I'm going to talk about next week, first of all, before handing on to Francesca, so we can just finish up when we're ready to go. We talked about when we did the post-processing activity night that we were going to start next year with a sort of a 7 o'clock session each month, and we've got a slot, so we're going to start off with a 7 o'clock session next week. Alan's going to come along and talk to us about focus stacking, so that'll be a processing thing worth going next week at the 7 p.m. session, and the 8 p.m. session next week is print number 4. And that's probably all I need to talk about because I'm just making it up by reading out Diana's little spiel. So you can read that as much as I can. I'm going to hand over to Francesca now to talk all about the projected image.
Hi everyone, welcome to our last PI for the year, PI 8. Nick Munnings is the judge tonight. He's a PSNZ accredited judge who works as a vet in his other life. He says his serious photography journey started at least 12 years ago, and he's still eager to try different genres and enjoys creative image making. Critiques are taken seriously, with constructive advice being given to help the photographer see if there are any ways an image might be improved. Small changes in subject position, image dimensions, and dodging and burning areas can make a plain image pop. The skill is identifying what and how to edit the image. As a member of 2 photographic clubs, he still waits for his images to be critiqued twice a month, so he understands just how you feel when his appraisal of your image is read out. He says judging is subjective and very personal, depending on life experience and personal preferences, so judges can differ vastly in their comments and scoring of the same image. Remember, it is just an opinion, and any suggestions are worth looking at because we usually have had experience of judging salons and other competitions, so we know the images that work and those that don't. Of this competition, he said, there were many great images presented for appraisal, and my first pass left me with 14 non-candidates, which I had to reduce to comply. That meant regrading the high accepted images as well. Your club has many very skilled photographers, and it was an honour to be given the opportunity to critique your images. Okay, did you show those? Can you show? These are just 4 of Nick's images that he shared with us. Good luck, everyone.
Hang on.
Nick Munnings. Where's my critiques gone? Oh, now it's me. My critiques aren't showing. My critiques aren't showing. Critique reader.
Yeah.
Is it here? No. Oh, God. Sorry, everyone.
This should be right.
Wow, that's just a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? Why is it doing that? Oh, hang on a minute. Let's just try that. Nope. Maybe I can log into the site and get them from there.
You need to be able to get this up, and you can't because you haven't got 2 screens.
I've done it this way before and I haven't had a problem. I'll go into the website and pick them up from there. That's going to be a bit...
It's too difficult.
Okay. Can you see if you can see the critique reader on your one? So, Club Night, oh, hang on a minute. Is there another one here?
Club Night critique reader.
Yeah, I've just might just have changed. Just go out of there. Go.
Do you want to swap computers?
Might have to. But we'll see how we go. Now you go try and go into. What
Okay.
Go, oh, okay, now. Go into select competition.
Yeah, I think it's wrong. It's only showing 12 images, 13 images.
Ah,
Hang on, which one did you...
the critique read. Oh, no, it's on the wrong one.
That's going to be,
there's something not right there.
this is out of sync.
But I synced them to print them. Can I read them off yours?
Yeah, well, I've got a show.
We'll just have to huddle in together.
Hang on, give it here. Something's not quite right.
Yeah, because it's only showing this.
Why'd you turn it, close it down? How do I log in?
1675.
167.
5.
uploaded them, it's somehow there's a database that runs it all, it's got out of sync. So now we have to do it again, and when it's coming through the streaming here, it's like a semaphore signal type strength. So it's going to take another 10 or 15 minutes to get the images down. 5 minutes, if we say 10, yeah. So go and have another cup of tea, come back at past. Yeah. So you stay here if you want to, or go for a walk, or whatever.
greater depth of field was needed for this image, I believe. Score 2, capturing it all. Which cathedral is this, I wonder? The altar and the artworks are amazing and the ceiling unbelievable. The chosen aperture and focus are good, capturing great detail. The lighting indoors can be a real challenge in my experience, and the bright top corners together with the very black areas compete with the story of the guy taking his photograph, I feel. With some cropping of top and sides, I believe there is an interesting image to be discovered. Score 2, Shell on New Brighton Beach. The low camera position and blurry background are a great idea. The pastel shades and textures in the water are well captured. It is disappointing, but the shell is not in sharp focus, and it seems the depth of field is very shallow because I feel the whole shell needed to be in sharp focus for this image to work. Images like this are worth perfecting, and my advice is to try several different camera settings of the same shot to see which gives the best result. Score 2, lion approaching. The mighty beast is looking at something with great interest, and this brings back memories of safaris that I have enjoyed in past years. The background has great detail to look at, while the lion seems to be in softer focus, which I believe is unfortunate. When on safari, you often do not have much say where the vehicle stops, so this position with the tree directly behind the animal's head is not ideal, and I guess it is a fair way from the vehicle, which has resulted in luminance noise that isn't apparent in the face and mane. So often the lions are sleeping when you come across them, so having one standing and looking out is great. Score 2, ooh la la. The architecture in foreign countries is so different and enjoyable. The capture is good, letting us see well into the distance and the two human elements. With the featureless sky, I wonder whether the chimney and ugly streetlight add anything to this image, and might advise looking at cropping down from the top to below the light. As it also takes care of what looks like a sensor spot in the sky. The balance of the composition can make or break the image. Score 2, a wild kaikoura. There appears to be a circular ICM movement with multiple exposure for this creative seascape. There are sufficient details captured to let the viewer know where they are, but the image lacks an epicenter or focus, I feel. Once the horizon is spotted, it appears not straight, and once seen, I come back to it, I'm afraid. This is a great idea, and in my view, but needs some fine-tuning. Score 2, waiting in the night. The lone figure on the empty street, what are they there for? Why is nobody else about? This is an interesting story. The chosen camera settings have given good detail in the foreground through to the background, and the monochrome rendering has removed any colour distractions that are often seen in shop windows. As the title references the waiting figure, I believe a little editing to dodge or lighten that figure is needed to bring this image to life. At present, the text on the signs dominate this image, I feel. The lighting was tricky, and I feel you've done pretty well if that bit of editing works. My street photography. There are amazing reflections here, ceiling and window to enjoy and work out what goes on where. Technically, the capture is competent, though perhaps I might have lightened the people's faces a little. The resultant image is very busy, dividing my eye between the yellow areas that I concentrate on the middle of the image where there are ugly road signs. I might suggest cropping in from the left to the pillar and a little down from the top to get a more balanced image with greater impact. Score 2, done it. Yes, the 1,000-piece jigsaw is an achievement, but there seems to be plenty of different colour areas in the puzzle to make it a bit easier. This is a competent capture with a slight background blur. Care has been taken to ensure the lady's head and the box lid are within the frame, but her fingers are chopped off at the bottom, which looks like an error, I'm afraid. Life is not fair, and while her shoulder is cropped, it does not matter, and even the corner of the finished jigsaw missing is not a big concern, but those fingers do matter. I like the post-it stars on the jigsaw and wonder how long it took to complete the jigsaw. The magic moment as the sunlight catches the spray from the breaking wave has been well captured. Focusing is good and the shutter speed has frozen the detail in the water. My eye follows the wave line as it ends neatly in the top left corner, but to me the story is all on the right, and I wonder if cropping in from the left and a little up from the bottom may champion the spectacular lighting and make a stronger image. The pastel sea green and golden sun go so well together. Can I just have a look at this? This is mine. Thank you. Score 2, Mist in the Hills. This looks like a lovely valley with the background framed by rocks on both sides and the mist-obscured mountains behind. The lighting appears a little flat, but detail is captured in the foreground. My opinion is that this image is about the cloud and the foreground hill that make the mountains of less importance. Cropping down from the top edge might bring more attention to the mountains, I think. Score 2, Two at the Beach. This looks busy for a New Zealand beach, with the two little dogs looking at something with great interest while the owner wants to move on. Lovely little story. The focus and detail are well handled. It appears overcast and the lighting is very flat. The monochrome rendering is okay, but I can see crushed shadows in the man and the dog's faces. I feel at this club level some selective dodging might have helped this image. Score 2, Jagged. My first impression is that these rocks are not jagged but rounded, and the very bright sky reduces the detail in the rocks. I am guessing the crescent moon was an important inclusion in the photographer's mind, but I feel there is great detail in the rock formation that is obscured. Linear gradients are worth learning and available in most editing software and might be used to bring out the rocks with their detail. Score 2, Lost. The logo on the t-shirt and image title bring a smile to my face, which is fun. The image is sharp and depth of field shows detail throughout the image. As a club entry, the main attraction is the man on the bike, as he is the lightest part of the image and is facing the camera. The guy in the t-shirt is too dark, losing definition of his head and neck, I feel. Then there is a pair of legs showing between his left arm and body. If this was a street photography entry, small flaws are allowable, but here the whole balance of the image lighting is astray, I believe. Score 2, Red Caps. What are the children up to and where are they? The coloured structures behind are interesting with their pastel shades. The image details are well captured, though the children may have been moving fast, giving them a slight motion blur I can see. It appears that lens distortion most likely gives the appearance of the children walking uphill on a surface that I feel sure was level, and I wondered whether all that sky had any relevance or contribution to give to the story. The idea is good, but I'm sorry, it doesn't engage me. First of the acceptances, score 3, 5 knots restriction. Just 3 posts with the title sign on the middle one, but it tells the story well with the reflections being added value. The exposure is spot on and the water merging into the background works well. My thoughts are that the luminance noise in the foreground is not ideal and wonder whether the large area of negative space on the left helps the image. Without the noise and trying a crop, this is a potential winner. Icefield below Jungfu. Sorry about that. These wonderful shapes created by nature are fascinating and well seen. The chosen exposure settings work well, and the photographer has skillfully avoided the clipped highlights I often see in snow images. The black area to left background is one of those once seen cannot ignore it, which takes my eye away from the foreground in my opinion. The choice of monochrome brings out the textures very well. Weathered exterior. This looks like it might be a rough part of town with the bars on the lower floor windows. The chosen exposure values work well, and there is a symmetry and repetition within the image to enjoy. It is an image that keeps my eyes inspecting each of the windows rather than settling, which is unfortunate, and I almost have to make myself look at the concrete that is referenced in the title. Is this an image that might work better in monochrome, I wonder? Refueling. This is a photojournalistic genre image showing the young guy with the fuel containers. Has the lorry run out of fuel, and does the guy in the background holding onto his hat look a bit anxious, possibly? The exposure factors work well to give a sharp image and capture good detail. My feeling is that the main subject in the image is the ute. If it was a Toyota advertisement, and it weakens the story. Maybe the shooting position needed to be offset a bit, but it is the composition rather than technical aspects that let the image down, in my opinion. Dawn at the beach. This is a really golden sky with the pier silhouetted and showing the reflection in the wet sand. The capture is sound in these difficult lighting conditions, and the lone seagull in the sky is a bonus. My feeling is the competition has tried to include more than we need, and I recommend cropping out the foreground ripples while cropping in from the right a bit to balance this left-weighted image. Attention to those white reflected spots on the waves might also help this image, in my opinion. Winter monarch. This is an unusual pose with the butterfly clinging on, and the brightness of the wings and sharpness of the branch have distracted from the body and the head, I feel. There is great detail in the wings with the veins and the patterns showing well. The strong background and awkward position of the insect reduce the impact of this image, in my opinion. Ye Old Farmhouse. Whatever was it like to live in those old buildings? Bit on the cold in the winter with the corrugated iron. Focus and depth of field are sharp, and the grayscale rendering brings out the textures well. I wonder if the ruin on the right needs to be in the image, and I believe a club image might be better if the power lines on the left were edited out, as they take my eye away from the house. Despite the harsh sunlight, that is causing very dark shadows, the possibility of an image was well seen. From Mananui Beach. I see a slow shutter seascape image with beach, sea and sky as bands. There seems to be a blue cast to the image that works okay. There is little in the image to arouse interest, I feel. The sea is too blurry and the shore detail indistinct. A crop from the top of the image to the bright area of the cloud might help, though. I feel it needed a point of interest to help an otherwise bland image. Lovely Laguna Lahua sunrise. The early morning sunshine lighting up the peak is beautifully captured. The low cloud adds interest, then my eye follows down the slope to the darkened valley. Camera settings have done the job well, with plenty of detail and true colours. With the distinct peak having such a distinctive dense cloud cap, I feel that it directly competes for attention with the sunlit mountain. Then the foreground reflection is a third distraction, making this a busy image. Cropping top and bottom might result in a letterbox crop that changes the dynamics of the image satisfactorily. Sunlit ridges. These ridges are enjoyable to look at with multiple layers back to the distant mountains. The sunlight areas are the highlight. The focus and aperture settings work well, and the browns against the blue sky are pleasing. The very dark lower right corner is a lot of negative space, and at the horizon there are two small areas that have clipped highlights which compete and unbalance the composition, in my opinion. Losing some foreground and cropping either left or right may bring out the image within, I suggest. If the image might have been taken from 100 metres to the right, then those middle distant ridges may have featured more. Sorry if there was a fence or a big drop to the right that prevented you from taking the shot. Snowscape. The decision to present this as a triptych was a wise move, in my opinion, as the snowscape is possibly not that engaging. There is textual detail and shadows to enjoy, with the central connecting leading line and triangles in the outer images. Technically, this is a sound image, but it does not sing for me. I did wonder if the line drooping in the left image while the rest was level might be the reason. White water. This is a beautiful landscape with the tree branch angles giving interest as the river runs from the right to the left. The chosen focus and aperture are great, with detail to enjoy in the boulders. A slow shutter speed has been used to produce milky water, but I think it was too slow and has given the blown out highlight in the water at the bottom left. Shutter speed in running water is a very personal matter, and I appreciate, but I again advise take several different shutter speeds and see which gives you the best result. The Janie Seddon sees another day. The wreck looks far worse than my previous sightings, inevitable, I suppose. The capture is good and the sun is not quite blown, although as the brightest part of the image, it strongly draws my eye. The panorama presentation is a good thought, but the bright sun unbalances that format, I feel, and recommend trying cropping from the left to the single tree, otherwise I can feel my eyes going from sun to trees to wreck, which suggests an unbalanced image in my mind. First of the high acceptances. Escape is a sure thing. The shell as part of the leading line makes this image with the lovely textures within the sand. The chosen camera settings work well. The monochrome rendering brings out all the ripples and irregularities so beautifully. The harsh shadow does not appreciably detract from the story the photographer is telling, in my opinion. Speed skating. What a great action image with the photographer using a fast shutter speed to freeze the movement of the skaters. Focus and aperture are optimal in my view. The body positions on the diagonal make this image special, and the background verticals support this rather than being a distraction in my view. Green rolling hills. There are amazing contours with the animal track striations, then we spot the riders with their dust trail. I like the exposure, the colours are bright, and the pools of sunlight bring this to life. I find myself wondering whether the photographer is on a high road looking down, or if they have climbed to a very steep hill to take this elevated shot. Our backyard. You guys do live in a beautiful part of the country, and this is a celebration of the landscape. There is good detail from the foreground to the sea in the distance, so the aperture is well chosen and I can enjoy the vibrant colours. Perhaps the photographer might look at cropping in from the right to take out the top rock, as I believe the resulting image will be better balanced. This was well seen with the contours, layers, and some interest in the sky. Waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The pose of the bird makes this image more than a bird on a stick that judges don't like. The colours are beautifully captured and the feather detail is clear. Then we have the catch light as well. The bird on the third with room in front of the beak is great for a compositional point of view. Bud opening to sunflower. Double exposures are fun to make, and for me the textures in the centre are the real feature of this image. There is good detail in the petals as well as the bud. When I first look at this image, the green leaf on the left distracts my eye, and I wonder whether simply cropping into the inner bloom is an easy way to make this image pop. I love the concept and the centre, though I advise you to always do border control to remove distractions. The wave. Did the shag get washed away, and did the photographer save their camera from getting drenched? Are the questions I find myself asking. As I look through the flying water droplets, I can see great detail in the bird's plumage and head, and the fast shutter speed has captured the droplets well, including a starburst to enjoy. Cropping in from the right a bit may reduce distraction and champion the bird better, I believe. Layers of cotton wool. This is a tranquil scene with the boats at anchor, low cloud and mist rising from the water. The subtle gold tinges enhance this image, I feel. The chosen settings have worked well and the image feels balanced. Among the leaf litter. How often would you walk past a dropped flower in brown leaves? This was well seen and makes me think of the bush the flower came from and the types of leaves that are represented. The lighting, focus and aperture are optimal in my view. My gut feeling is to advise cropping up from the bottom edge a little. It appears the lower crop was an error. The presence of the leaf on the bottom edge, I'm not sure, but please have a look at a little adjustment. The concept and execution were good, and a small compositional tweak may elevate this image. Winter Vineyard, State Highway 1 near Waipara. There is a lot to see in this image with lines of vines, geometrical shapes on the hillside and some texture in the sky, but it works. Image execution is good, and the monochrome rendering removes any colour distractions that may have been present. First of the honours, the Medicine Man, Bugodi, Uganda. This is a great portrait with the subject looking at the camera and catchlights in his eyes. The focus is pin sharp and shows the medicine man's environment as well as some of the tools and remedies he uses, I imagine. The lighting is very well handled, including the detail in the wattle and daub of the hut walls. Frosty Isle at dawn. What great pastel shades combining to make a lovely winter scene. The chosen settings are ideal and the composition well represented with the reflections. Even the clouds are interesting. This image has instant impact as well as longevity, I believe. Heading to Everest. The harshness of the environment is well demonstrated, and the inclusion of the mountain in the background gives an idea of where we are. The exposure is well chosen with the lead animal in mid-stride. Letting us see the trail of pack animals against the line of the mountain gives leading lines to add to the composition. The camera appears to be held down at a low level with the beast's eye, and this is well thought out. Beauty in the Hokitika Gorge. This image is nearly abstract with those blue colours almost too good to be true. Remember, an abstract image is one that makes you ask, what is that? And in this case, I know it is rocks. The image sharpness is crisp, and those light pools with the reflections are lovely. The details and fissures in the rocks have been well captured, and the composition is balanced. Taking the lead. This is a great action image as we can see the riders' faces as they battle around the circuit. Focus, aperture and shutter speed are so well chosen, and the colours are well presented. You even have the magic odd number of subjects in the image. Well done. Best in show. The story is so strong in this photojournalism image, you can feel the effort of the soldier crawling under the barbed wire with his hands offering him assistance. The low down camera position makes this image special, and the photographer has cleverly kept the main character and the hand in sharp focus with the rest being blurry. Even the water droplets and bit of mud have been captured in detail. This is a great image. Fabulous. Now we'll give out the awards. Can you help us, Diana? Squeeze past here. Some great images. I'll just do it here. I'll just sneak past you, Diana, just a wee bit. Do you want to come here? Oh, you want to go that side? Okay. Okay. Right. Here we go. 5 knots, Jambo. Icefield below Jean Bourgeois, sorry, Simon Hayes. Weathered exterior, Ian Harrison. Refueling, Toby Myers. Dawn at the beach, Penny Kennedy. Winter Monarch, Alan Moore. Ye Old Farmhouse, Carl Smith. From Manawa Beach, Nelson Bustide. Lovely Laguna Laha Sunrise, Karen Dance. Sunlit Ridges, Nerily Keating. Snowscape, Dornkirk. Whitewater, Penny McCall. The Janie Seddon Sees Another Day, John Hawkins. Escape is a Sure Thing, Jane Barnes. Speed Skating, Desmond's New. Green Rolling Hills, Anne Young. Our Backyard, David Rice. Waiting for the Perfect Moment to Strike, JK. Bud Opening to Sunflower, Judy Kirk. The Wave, John Thornton. Layers of Cotton Wool, Richard Cooper. Among the Leaflet Litter, Adrian Gentleman. Winter Vineyard, Karen McColney. The Medicine Man, Bugodi, Uganda, Barry Dench. Frosty Isle at Dawn, Janine. She's gone home. Only, sorry. Heading to Everest, Alistair Phillips. Beauty at Hokitika Gorge, Bonnie Stetskamp. Taking the lead, Les Armand. And Best in Show, Comradeship, Tony Heckland.
Thank you very much.
Don't go away, Tony. Do you want to tell us about your image?
Yeah, it's a bloke.
So these are soldiers from the 3rd Combat Support Service Battalion based at Burnham. This is their training day. These are regular force soldiers. And it's an in-house competition between the different companies. So this is the old Krypton Factor course that you would have seen years ago on TV. So these guys have, first of all, they've gone through this course clean fatigued without their webbing, helmets and everything on. They get drilled through the correct techniques to complete each sort of obstacle throughout that. Once they've done that, they throw their helmets on, their webbing on, and then they go through it, and it's timed. It's a competition between the different companies, obviously working on their physical fitness, their skills, drills to carry out these activities correctly and safely, and it's obviously there to build teamwork as well, because that's what we thrive on, is getting shit done